We're not going live. We're not live or anything. Just us. So yeah, so welcome everyone. So this is want to do a little preview of the Skill Acquisition Summit for 2021. So we're coming back as a group, and we want to talk. Going to be a little bit different. Some things the same, some exciting new things. So I want to do a little preview. So I'll kick it to Randy Sullivan, who can get us started on the kind of the overview of the meeting.
Okay, so thanks, Rob. We're really excited to do this again. Last year, the pandemic kind of squelched it because our friends from the Netherlands were kind of sequestered and we couldn't get them here. So, but I'm really excited to be doing this again. And the ideas this year are super exciting. The idea of integrating all disciplines to demystify this thing we call athleticism. The event will occur. It's going to be in Lakeland at the Hilton Garden Inn like before on the first day, and we'll be presenting all the theory and the overarching concepts. But the October 23rd and 4th, and if anybody wants to register, I think we have like already 7 or 8 major league teams already signed up, bringing multiple members. And so, FloridaBaseballArmory.com/summit is where you would sign up for it. But it goes from 8 a.m. to about 5:30 p.m. on Saturday with, I guess gatherings and cocktail conversations afterwards. Of course, the best part of the summit, and then on Sunday we're going to go over here to the Armory and do the practical demonstrations, and it's going to be kind of cool because during the Sunday practical presentations, Franz will present an overarching concept, a theme that applies to athleticism for all areas, and then we will individually demonstrate how that applies to hitting, pitching, fielding, base running, etc. And we're excited this year to have Martijn and Bart and Franz, of course, from previous summits, and you too, Rob, presenting some really good information. And then we're going to welcome Alan Kolb, our strength and conditioning coordinator here at the Armory, and he's going to do a really good job of helping us all integrate how the different disciplines can work together to achieve the development of this thing we call athleticism, which everyone can agree makes for better players and better programs and better teams.
Yeah, I think that sounds really good. I'm a big fan of the breaking down the S&Cs over here and skills over here ideas. I think that's really good. And athleticism, such a loaded word with a lot of people use it, but without much meaning. So I think that's going to be really good. Maybe we'll go, Martijn, can we go to you? Tell us a little bit what you're going to present on this year.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the constraint-led approach and the role of environment over the task that people give a lot of task cues, and I'm going to look into what the environment can do to get on a deeper level to get better performance. And I'm going to as well show how we integrate this in Amsterdam in our program as a good example of how it can work. We talking to a lot of major league clubs that have a big scale, and it's a lot of times it's hard for them to scale it like we do in Amsterdam. But I think there's a really good lesson to learn on how you can integrate this in a bigger organization.
Yeah, that's cool. Bart, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're?
Yeah, so I think as we're laying the foundation of what athleticism in baseball means, I am going to specify that more to the hitting side. And we will look into a little bit more of the anatomy and motor control of good hitting mechanics, and layer that on top with motor learning principles for the practicals. So some of the topics that I will be talking about is rate of force development in hitting. What are the demands for rate of force development? How does the pelvis play a role in that? What does our lower half, what are the demands of our lower half? A lot of times I think in baseball, we fall into the trap and we say the lower half generates all the power and strength and conditioning. Therefore, we train maximum strength training for the lower half. But is that really so? I'm diving a little bit deeper into that. And also some topics of motor control like phase transitions and endpoints. I want to talk that and translate that to hitting specifically. So don't want to give away too much. We'll talk about that later a little bit. But I think that's it's going to be a really cool translation of theories of motor control and motor learning, and how does that apply to hitting in baseball.
Good. That sounds good. Did they? Just tease a little. You got to come to see all the good stuff. Franz, what are you gonna?
I'll probably will be looking after the theoretical background of what athleticism is. Interestingly, if you look in history, when professional sports developed, early 60s, late 50s, they took a wrong turn at the first junction they came to, and started to rely in their idea about athleticism a lot on those niche sports that are the least athletic that you can find, like powerlifting and bodybuilding and weightlifting. And they developed a kind of a terminology and a catalog of ideas that don't hold the water anymore, because there are entities that are not existing. And it's very persistent how that still can be seen everywhere. And I want to try to shoot some holes in there. Obviously, I'll be talking about rate of force development and how little that is linked to what usually is done in gym work and so on. I want to talk about also the negative effects of classic strength training. So try to make a little bit of let's say a background of how we should look at what everybody's been taught for ages now in colleges and universities and so on. And from there on, look at a little bit from a dynamic systems point of view, what are the real constraints in transfers, so that what you do in the gym doesn't stay in the gym, but actually can be surfacing on the baseball field as well.
Well, that sounds really good. Yeah, I think that will. I like the history of it. Checking it to the history, I think will be really interesting. So, yeah. So for my part, I guess I'll jump. I'm going to talk about perspective control and direct perception, kind of this different way to think about skill. I think it fits well with what we're talking about in particular. We tend to think of skill and performance very asymmetrically. Like athleticism is something you possess. The perspective control idea is more, it's a symmetrical. Athleticism is a relationship you have with your environment in context, right? It's not something you just possess separately. So I'm going to try to introduce the idea of perspective control and with specific baseball examples, and get into this idea of information movement control laws and those kind of things. So I think that's where I'm going to go, but something like that. So hopefully some theoretical foundation for some of these other ideas too. So Randy, and Alan, do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys are going to do?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to show how it all applies to pitching. That's sort of our niche, and we've expanded on some great ideas from Franz's two books, Strength and Coordination, the Integrated Approach, and the Anatomy of Agility, and kind of dissected those and learned a pretty good process or system to apply them to pitching development. We also work with hitters, but we're going to leave that to Bart, the major league guy, right? But we're going to show how we specifically apply these overarching concepts of athleticism and how we produce them on the mound, how we make them manifest themselves on the mound in each individual's expression of his movement or his skill. Okay, and then Alan will bring it all home for us. And Alan, you're going to be kind of involved in every facet. You're going to be in everybody's business. So go ahead.
Well, I'm really going to touch on a lot of the different attractors and the indicators and how we train them between the back leg, the lead leg, the trunk. I'm going to talk a lot about the pelvis and the hip block, and transitioning from the hinge to the hip block and closing the front door. And then also touching on acceleration and deceleration in the pelvis, talking a lot about the pelvis and the role that it has in athleticism.
That sounds really good. And as Randy mentioned, this is one of my favorite meetings because there's lots of time for great interaction. My joke is every year I always come home with a sore neck from looking up at pitching coaches. Right? You're all so damn tall. I stand there in the bar after the thing and spend the whole night looking up at people, having good conversations. But that's it happens every year. But yeah, no, I think it's really good. So, and So Randy, it's going to be in kind of a different facility in terms of the practicals.
Yes, the lecture, the theory part will be at the same hotel. We just went over there and organized that. Our production guy Scott has been diligently working on getting all the technology set up there, and we are now in our new temporary home. We're building a new facility about a couple miles away from where we are, and in the interim, we've moved into this spacious industrial park warehouse, and it's kind of nice. It won't be outdoors, so we won't be able to have those rotations that we do, but I think it'll be a neat little twist on it, because instead of going from station to station, hitting, throwing, strengthening, and then my part was the pain management or rehab, one of the problems we have in baseball is those disciplines aren't integrated, and we don't have everybody working under the same umbrella of theoretical concepts and then application of those concepts. And so this is going to allow us in the practical, we'll be all seated in a big arena style thing. We'll have things up. Franz will present an overarching topic, and then the rest of us are going to jump in and kind of 5-ring circus it and go, okay, this is how it applies to hitting, demonstrate. This is how it applies to pitching, demonstrate. This is how it applies to base running. This is how it applies to fielding. And this is how we can integrate strength and coordination, strength and conditioning into all that, so that we get everybody integrated on the same page, and we can once and for all eliminate this confounded siloing that has been such the bane of all coaches and player development specialists. It's been really tough to overcome that siloing, that departmentalization, sort of reductionist approach to everything. And I think it'll do a real good job of demonstrating how we can avoid the siloing, and then how we can also scale it. And it was kind of interesting. We were discussing the format and talking about it. We kind of all came to the conclusion that, we kind of rail against this idea of siloing, yet when we present, we kind of silo, right? Here's my strength guy presenting, and so we're going to try to overcome that. And it'll be a logistical challenge for us to be able to choreograph who's doing what when, but that'll be a fun challenge to overcome. And I think it's going to be a great time, and one thing that I'm really looking forward to is that in the past, during the practicals, I only saw my part, right? And I didn't get to go watch everybody else's. And so this is going to be really cool. We're going to see how each of us actually integrate these things. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I had the same thought when you said that. We're gonna riff off each other, right?
Right. It's like, it'll be like Franz is big into the blues. I don't know if you know that, but
yeah,
he's gonna teach. He'll be the band leader, and we'll be improvising off of him, right?
Yeah. Cool. That sounds really good. Does anyone anything else you want to add in there? Art?
Oh, Rob, I think the really cool thing here is that we're really going to dive in what athleticism actually means, and especially specific to baseball, because I think there are a lot of interpretations about the term athleticism, and I also what I've noticed myself in the world of baseball is that there's a lot of misconceptions about athleticism. There's a lot of misconceptions about rate of force development, and basically in movement as well. And I think this summit will really ties everything down to what is actually needed in baseball to be a successful baseball player, and then what are the theories surrounding that topic, and how can we all tie that together also into practical application. And I think that's the big thing that I'm looking forward to with this summit, is to tie it all together and give an overarching idea of what we think is needed in baseball.
Sounds good. I agree. You hear all these terms, tools, and I think it's really sometimes it's very vague. So it'd be nice to put it together. Yeah.
Yeah. What I find interesting or important in what we will presenting is that we also have to demystify the idea that you have it or you don't have it. Right. There's a lot more that can be manufactured than everybody's always perceiving. I mean. Probably in baseball, it's a long living habit to shrug your shoulders and walk away if somebody, doesn't do it right immediately, and that all comes down to not understanding what athleticism is, and much more can be manufactured. Good running can be manufactured, and probably in all other skills in baseball, a lot can be manufactured as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point, Franz. Baseball is very talent ID. You know, you have it, and he's going to give you a million chances.
Yeah, but it's something you see in all sports, right?
Yeah.
You got selection,
Mhm.
right, and you got education, and those two almost look like they're antagonistic. Right?
Mhm.
People go for selection and then forget about education, and that's something in the future that's not tenable anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's throwing money away with the buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what Franz is saying is like they're selecting, and when you see how much time we have on hand, and then what we do in Amsterdam, like you have a 2 or 3 year period, and you can change a lot of things and make a lot of people better. I think Randy is doing this with the pitching armory that he has. He shows it year after year, and you know when you have guys in a professional organization that are in the minor leagues for like 3, 4, 5 years, you actually do have a lot of time to change it instead of just selecting and trying to win every game and see, oh, this guy's good and this guy's not good, and we cannot do anything about it. We really can do a lot about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the keys is like what you're having a consistent integrated approach across the levels instead of switching, you know, from coach to coach that's doing radically different things. I think that's a good point. So yeah, maybe to sum up, Randy. So the dates are. Can you give us the dates and the information again?
Yeah. It's October 23rd and 24th, and I'm really excited. You know, we can all agree. I think everybody in player development will agree that great athletes make great players. Like if you're going to try to develop, it's good to start with a great athlete, and great athletes make great teams and great organizations. Yeah, it's going to be fun to show that, hey, the difference between the good athlete and the great athlete, the good performer and the bad and the great performer isn't much, you know. And so we don't have to be in the process of selection and then elimination. We can actually teach this stuff and infuse it into our organizations. And so we're really excited to share this October 23rd and 24th, Skill Acquisition Summit 3, Trey. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And you can sign up. You can register at floridabaseballarmory.com/summit, SUMMIT, or you can call us at our really cool phone number, 866-STRIKE-3, 866-787.
Your picture, that's a cool number.
4533.
I don't know if you want to use that for your hitting department.
We have to get a second line, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be great. And if you have any questions, we can always call Amy. Everyone here in this room knows that she runs the show anyway. Amy's our CFO, COO, my business partner. And so you can call her at that number and she will walk through it. There are group discounts for teams. I think Amy has a deal for like if you bring 6, that you get pay for 5 and free. I don't want to. Is that right?
5th.
Wait,
Pay for 5 ones.
jump in here and say it real fast. This is Amy, everybody. She's going to say. I was out of my lane. Yeah.
So for our team discount, is if you purchase 5 tickets, the 6th is free.
There you go. Call her. All right, 866-STRIKE-3. There you go.
Yeah, and I should emphasize, like the previous meetings, we get people from all levels too, right?
Absolutely.
Major league, college, softball sometimes too.
Yeah, like think about okay, name me a sport where athleticism is important.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody. We have people calling us, cricket coaches calling us. We have basketball coaches calling us. We have football teams calling us. We worked with several NFL teams about how to create this thing. So it's been pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also in last years we've seen strength and conditioning coaches, we've seen athletic trainers, we've seen physiotherapists that all came to the summit and had really good conversations and took a lot away from it. So it's not just baseball, hitting or pitching. I think it's the general everybody that works in athletics that has an interest in motor control, motor learning, skill acquisition, strength and conditioning, you name it. I think we have something to offer for everybody.
Yeah,
really good point.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope we sold it well to you, people watching and listening, and we see you there. I think it's a really good meeting. I was really enjoy it, so I hope we'll see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you there.
All right.
Stop there.